My senior year in high school, my sister was a freshman, which is his mom, and there was a kid that kept messing with her, and she said he was calling her. And I was just like, really? And she's like, yeah, I told my teacher he won't leave me alone. So one day after class, I only had 4 periods. So after class, she comes crying to me and said, this boy spit in my hair and called me. I was like, what? And she showed me she still had the spit in her hair and she was crying. She had her girlfriends with her. So I went and the kid happened to just walk by. So I just took off on him. When I went to the office, it was just, why'd you do that? And I'm just like, he called my sister. Well, his dad's a prominent lawyer in this city and he wasn't raised like that. And I know he wouldn't talk like that. So, why'd you do that? So they didn't believe, what I did. So long story short, I ended up getting suspended for 6 days. This is on a Wednesday, I want to say. I got suspended Wednesday. Thursday night, I guess a bunch of KKK people came up here and vandalized the school, had a mannequin with my football jersey, Die Barnes, It made national news, like the NAACP and everything came up here. There's a branch that used to come out that was a little bit lower, and they had a noose around the mannequin's neck, and like I said, they went all out. They went all out. The N-word came up a lot for me growing up because I went to white schools and, they threw that thing around like it was a Frisbee.
So he's been telling this story since 2014. He's now telling it in front of the vice president. It's the centerpiece of Matt Barnes trying to cast himself as a political figure. He's talked about running for political office, being mayor of Sacramento, governor of California. Matt Barnes has big political aspirations, and he's building this racial narrative that he's actually the new, why can't I think of John Lewis, the short congressman that passed away, was on the bridge in Selma, Alabama, and rode that to political power. There's a gimmick and a scheme, and I'm not calling John Lewis a gimmick and a scheme, but I'm talking about what we're seeing today. There's a pattern here of the mixed nuts, the interracial kids, the biracial kids that are looking for their black moment, that want to be the next Colin Kaepernick, that want to be the next John Lewis. They all wrap themselves in racial victimhood. And so in that Vice deal, they showed newspaper headlines from that day. I wish that they had read the newspaper article. I wish that they had read the newspaper articles from 1998 because they contradict Matt Barnes and the story he's been telling since 2014 and the story that he's parading around everywhere. Matt Barnes was talking completely different in 1998. Imagine that. Let's go to the article. This is April 1st, I believe, 1998, or it's either April 2nd. I think April 1st or 2nd. But the article, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office calls it a hate crime. Arson, vandalism, multiple felonies. 3 officers work the case. Veterans from the gang unit. The painted images are pathetic, the worst sort of bigoted scribbling. And yet, truth be told, hardcore racism may have very little to do with Tuesday's assault on Del Campo High School, an assault aimed at Barnes, an African American. Interviews with Del Campo students, administrators, sheriffs, deputies, and Barnes indicate racism is an excuse this time, a cover for something more childish than disgusting. Let's read even further. Let's hear from Matt Barnes in 1998. I don't think it's a racial thing. I haven't really had any racial problems in 4 years at Del Campo. I've had them when we visited other schools, but I expect that. This is more about other things, about me being a jock and hanging out with friends who are jocks. Some kids don't like that. We've had some problems. Matt Barnes in 1998, when this is fresh in his mind. Let me read you his quote again. I don't think it's a racial thing. I haven't really had any racial problems in 4 years at Del Campo. I've had them when we visited other schools, but I expect that. This is more about other things, about me being a jock and hanging out with friends who are jocks. Some kids don't like that. We've had some problems. That's Matt Barnes in 1998. He's going to a high school at this time that I believe was 90% white and 2% African American. He's had no racial problems. Now he's telling Vice in 2014 that, hey, the N-word flew around like a Frisbee. But that wasn't his experience. Let me go to another article in the Sacramento Bee that talks about this is the conclusion of the same article or a different article, but this is all in the archives. Some can't stay away. Barnes has been involved in a couple of physical altercations as a senior at Del Campo. The incidents have involved schoolyard nonsense, old-fashioned dust-ups between jocks and non-jocks. No weapons, almost nostalgic by today's gritty and bloody standards. The latest incident came last week when Barnes broke up a fight involving a jock friend. Let me pause for a moment there. Matt Barnes is saying this whole incident into Vice and now was driven by, someone called my sister the N-word and I took off on him and beat him up. In 1998, the newspaper article in real time, which I'm going to back up with another quote from Matt Barnes, says the latest incident came last week when Barnes broke up a fight involving a jock friend. Here's Matt Barnes quoted in this article. The school investigated and found I didn't do anything wrong, Barnes says. I blame the school for not telling everybody I didn't do anything wrong. A lot of kids think I started it. I think this whole thing with the graffiti happened because people thought I was in the middle of it. The article continues. That's the end of Matt Barnes' quote. The school won't say anything publicly. Del Campo principal Gail Pierce refuses even to identify Barnes as the target of the arson, citing student confidentiality. Sheriff Sergeant James Cooper, a former gang unit officer now handling media relations for the department, knows the difference between terroristic threats and adolescent stupidity. Quote from James Cooper, the officer, know what this looks like? Typical teenage problem, likes and dislikes. This is what was written in 1998. This is what was said in 1998. The story is now completely different. I'm reading the article, and there's another article. You can go look this up and find it for yourself, newspapers.com, if you need some help. You can find it for yourself. This whole thing about there's no reporting of this mannequin with Barnes's jersey hanging from a noose. No mention of that. None. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.